So I'm here with my friend Matt Boer. Say hi, Matt.
Hello, guys.
And this is a program for prison professors where I'm trying to show the different ways that somebody builds a story and documents a story all the way through the journey. And I'm kind of doing that right now as I recalibrate myself and building the prisonprofessors.org, which is the nonprofit. And Matt, you asked me a question earlier when we were first talking about it. Do you remember that question?
No, which one?
Between
prisonprofessors.com and
prisonprofessors.org. And that's a great question. I think a lot of people would ask a question like that. The difference between prisonprofessors.com and prisonprofessors.org is .com is like a legacy site. I began memorializing my journey when I first got out of prison. In fact, if anybody goes to the YouTube channel, clicks on the little button that says videos, and from the videos button, they go to the oldest, you will see this video that I made like a week getting out of prison, where I was talking on my phone and basically saying, I just got out of prison after 25 years. I'm about ready to report to a halfway house and do my last year in a halfway house. And I'm going to learn what YouTube is. I'm going to document my journey so I can help more people in prison learn the importance of opportunity costs, of making sure that every decision relates to what they want to become instead of crying about the complexities of their life. Nothing comes from crying. Nothing comes from whining. Nothing comes from pretending you're going to be something that you're not. But if you follow a path of saying, okay, I am where I am, I've got to live in the world as it exists, let me architect a strategy to move forward. And that's really what you've done. Why don't you, give the audience, before we get into this, a little bit of your backstory of who you are and where you are at this stage of your life.
Well, again, my name is Matt Boer. Thank you, Michael. My story is really resilience and recalibrating, and that's the name of my book. Obviously, if you haven't heard, I was the illegal bookmaker for the Shohei Ohtani bookmaking scandal.
Very quickly, it's going to come out in the media. It's already been published in the media. Just to give the audience a little bit of a flavor here, what would you say the amount of, what does the government say, the amount of money people bet with you, say, annually?
Well, just that one particular customer.
And who is that customer?
Ipe Mizuhara, the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, the amazing Dodger MVP world-class player. He bet $326 million through my website.
Okay. So we're not talking about a guy who's betting $50 on the Super Bowl. We're talking about the highest level. But not only were you responsible for helping people place bets, but there was also a time in your life where you were also a favored guest in casinos all around the world. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I went from basically betting, as you said, $50 a hand when I was young at 21 to betting $300,000 a hand and a hand of baccarat about every 45 seconds.
So a typical weekend would result in what kind of gambling?
I would usually go to a casino. I'd fly in privately. $2 million was usually my normal bankroll. And I had a philosophy. Either I'm going to get all their money or they're going to get all mine.
And frequently you did get all of their money, and frequently they did get all of yours.
Well, I never got all theirs because, as you know, they'd be out of business, which actually happened once in Panama. I put a casino out of business, $4.6 million. But the truth is, $2 million was either going down the drain or I was winning at least $1 million or more. That was my philosophy. But when I walked in, whenever I walked into a casino, it's no different than what I do today. I'm here to win.
So Matt, as you can see, has had quite an extraordinary life dealing, interacting with people, whether it's Hollywood celebrities, professional athletes, high net worth individuals. And he became a high net worth individual until he faced a challenge, which is one of the reasons that we're talking today. Matt is a very active supporter of the Prison Professors nonprofit, really grateful to have had his mentoring and guidance and building this machine, and now it's my turn to pay it back and try and show him, hey, this is what I think will help you recalibrate your life and rebuild. But why is that? Why are we in this predicament? What stage are you in right now?
I'm close to sentencing, 2 months out. As long as they don't push it back, I'll be in front of my federal judge facing my possible prison term, or hopefully, due to my mitigation strategies and things that I've done, thanks to you and your advice and help.
I have nothing to do with that. That's Justin and you and the work that you've done. I'm just your friend.
You've been a great friend.
Okay.
And, God willing, I'll do a little bit of house arrest, maybe a year. possibly even probation, which would be a miracle. But worst case scenario, looking at 37 months in prison.
Okay, so what's really impressive about Matt is very early on in the journey, he knew that he had to recalibrate. He had to rebuild his life. And, you know, I always make 3 promises to people. 1, I'll never ask you to do anything I didn't do. 2, I'll never ask you to pay me a penny. And 3, I'll never lie to you. So when Matt asked me about how I'm recalibrating and what's the difference between the .com and the .org, I said, well, you know, this is a great teaching opportunity. The .com, prisoninvestors.com, began when I first got out of prison and I was starting to build my life. So there is what I would call a tremendous amount of legacy content on prisonprofessors.com. But I was at a different stage in my life back then. Back then, I was building businesses. People were paying me. But there's a tremendous amount of content, all of which I'm very proud of, that will help people understand how do you mitigate, how do you build a strategy that will lead to the best outcome. Too many people spend their time pulling their covers over their head and crying and wondering what's going to happen. Oh my God, it's not fair, right? And that may or may not be the case. The reality, however, is you've got to develop the CEO mindset, which you have in abundance. You've got to understand what's the problem, what's the best possible outcome, because nobody can change the past. And then you start architecting a plan. You put priorities in place. You build tools, tactics, and resources. You create accountability metrics to measure your progress. And, you know, you execute the plan every day.
Sure.
Because you are responsible for transforming your life. That's what you have done in taking the time to write a manuscript that describes what you learned from this process. More importantly, where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10 years? Don't just focus on where you are right now. So prisonprofessors.com is where I was when I first came out of prison.
Okay.
Prisonprofessors.org is where I am right now. I'm a multimillionaire. I don't need money. I don't want money. I want to make an impact and change the lives of millions of people. I want other people to have the outcome that I had. And that's not going to happen by accident. We need a different approach than this approach of that I see in a lot of other places. You know, where people are talking about, oh, I make $100,000 a month. You know, if you make $100,000 a month, but you're getting it from $1,000, people who are paying you $1,000 to teach them how, that's not really making $100,000 a month. You're taking $1,000 a month from people, okay? And that's where you're getting it. You make $100,000. I mean, there are days I make $100,000 a day. There are days I lose $100,000 a day. That's different. I can say nobody has to pay me a penny and nobody ever will. I won't ever take money from somebody. That's a strategy I'm in and a position I'm in today because of the lessons that I learned while I was in prison. And the lessons that I was when I was in prison put me in a position to come out of prison strong, build prisonprofessors.com, and the businesses I built since then have helped me make millions, lose millions, recalibrate, get strong again. And now I'm saying, okay, I'm done playing that phase of my life. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not in that stage anymore. So I needed to start with a blank slate. That's what I'm going to show you here. Okay. Prisonprofessors.org is a blank slate. It hasn't existed. It is something I created. And what I'm showing you right now is even not a full site. This is a site that is like a Band-Aid until I've invested quite a bit to build a professional site, a professional brand, a lot of information. Okay. But this is what's live now because it's super important for me to be documenting it from the day I started, which was January the 1st, 2025. Yeah. So to get here, there's a lot of seeds that had to go into place starting probably last October, September, October, okay. Right? Getting there. And part of it, that's what this is. This will look very different by the end of March, okay? But it's important that I document the story, just like it was important for you to document the story, okay? This section here kind of talks about the whole program. So this is like an engine that's supposed to be turning, right? Okay. There are people all over the country that are very vested in this concept of locking as many people up as possible, right? I think we incarcerate far too many people in this nation. I think it should never, a situation if somebody is not a threat to the community, there should be a different response than incarceration. There should be a civil response. There should be a fine. There should be a work release program. Locking a person in prison who is not a threat to society doesn't benefit anyone. And I think we can do better. And my job is to try and show what we can do better. So in trying to do something better, Matt, I've got to tell a story of how did I get here? Because it's a very heavy lift to change America's prison system. And that's what these represent here. I've got to change the culture of confinement, where people in prison sometimes get filled with either despondency or hate or hopelessness. And there are distinctions between all three, right? Hopeless means I can't do anything. I'm here. Despondency means you're sick with despair and you might not be able to get out of bed. Hate is really terrible because it hurts our country. Sure. But yet that's what prisons produce. We call it a system of corrections, but ironically, the longer people spend in corrections, the less likely they are to function in society. Right. Okay, so it's a problem. So you got to change the culture. You also have to change the people, right? You have to have people who are serving time, people who are working in the system, people who love people who are in prison. You're one guy that's afflicted by this, but there are 50 people who know you and love you and trust you, right? And they're all afflicted by this. So we've got to help to change them and show them what could be better. We've got to change the policies. So, I'm not saying somebody who violates the law doesn't have to have some consequences, but prison's not the answer. Sure. Okay, I went to prison for 26 years, but I did a real crime. I sold cocaine when I was a kid. And, because I've done the time, I have more currency to speak with a level of authority of why it's bad and what can we do better, okay? I've got to change society on the other side. That means I've got to find people to sponsor the nonprofit. You sponsored the nonprofit with your time and your energy. I've got to influence the media, who has a certain perception of people going into prison and how they try to portray them, okay? I got to show them what can we do better. And of course, I've got to influence taxpayers. And the way that I have to do that is I have to build a machine, okay? That's what this is. This is a machine. And this machine has to work at scale. It's got to influence the lives of 1 million people. So how do I reach 1 million people in prison when prisons are actively blocking people from getting educational content? Well, that's why we have a nonprofit. We want to give books away. I don't care if a person has $1 to pay, a penny to pay. I don't care if the prison doesn't want them to pay. I want that person to learn some basic skills that can help them emerge with his dignity intact and opportunities to prosper. That people believed in me and my life is different. Now it's time for me to show other people, hey, it was the decisions that I made in prison that led to that. And that's what all those books going across. So those are self-directed workbooks. I don't need a teacher. I don't need a government. I don't need anybody. I need a will. I need the will to change my life. And that's what you'll learn in all of the work that I create is that, I love the words of President Reagan, who said, the 9 worst words any American wants to hear is, I'm with the government and I'm here to help. It's time to hear that. It's time to run. Okay. So I've got to change things on a macro level, changing institutions, changing cultures, changing perceptions. On a micro level, I've got to help people understand, how do you change yourselves? You recalibrate, you memorialize, you position yourself for employment. Okay. I've got to change legislatures and rules, which are policies and laws and reforms. That's the mission of the nonprofit. And I have to build relationships with other nonprofits. I'm really glad to have a great relationship with Brian Hill and Adobo Foundation. It's through this that we reach now 1 million people. Wow. So a course like I'm creating right here is going to reach 1 million people in prison. And I hope that they will get inspired by reading about people like you, Matt Boer, who didn't wait until the end of the journey to start preparing for the next chapter of his life. He wrote a manuscript before he even got sentenced. And that's what you've always got to be thinking about doing. And so again, I said, I never asked anyone to do what I didn't do. You'll see, I write my own checks to fund things. And you'll see these here. There's $100,000 that I gave at the end of last year. You can see through here, I've given more than $1 million to fund this nonprofit over the past several years. And other people have joined me in providing resources. And it's these resources that allow me to work toward making an impact. This website makes it all very transparent. Sure. So anybody can see it. I don't get paid a penny, don't need to get paid a penny. But by doing this, opportunities have opened. I was once in the Bureau of Prisons. You know, I could look right here, and now you'll see if you look at the BOP's website, they feature my work right on the government's website, okay? That's what I try to show people is that I'm not gonna BS you. All of my work really began a long time ago. This is interesting, this video is not playing off the chuck with my web developer, but many years ago, this is back in 2015, right? I was writing about, in a law review article, incentivizing excellence, a suggestion for merit-based reductions from a 26-year federal prison insider. So I'm writing about policies that we need to change to incentivize a pursuit of excellence, to help people get out of prison. And so if you click these links on the website, you're going to see all over where my work goes and how it works to influence people in the Bureau of Prisons, in the Department of Justice, all over. And I show my story. So it's very important that I'm not some crybaby who's talking about prison. I did the 26 years. And by doing the 26 years, I got married in prison. That's me getting married in 2003. I made money in prison. And these are the people who talk about how our work is impacting their lives. And so you can click around here and see, you know, we receive thousands of letters from people in prison. And this is what this website is about. But the new.org gets to be much more granular, and it's important for me to show them what I do and how do I do it. So like this page here, the founders page, this is how I teach people, is I show them, okay, why do I have opportunities right now in my life? It's because very early in my journey, I started to change my life. And I talk about the influence. I spent my first year of my time in prison in the hole, solitary confinement. I was never a religious person, but when you're in that environment,
you become it real quick.
And you start looking for guidance. And there were stories in the Bible that really helped me change my life, right? That one of them was really powerful, was this parable of the talents, which basically said, you know, if God gives you a gift, it's your job to work to refine that gift. And then, you know, opportunities will come to you and you will prosper. But if you waste those opportunities, God will take away what you have.
Yeah, the opportunities will come. Okay.
Okay. So this book, and I tell the story. So I'm writing about all the influences all the way through my journey. So like if you click there, you don't see a little bit of work, right? You'll see I'm really telling a story, and then I'm giving you a self-directed lesson. How can you do this in your life, right? And so all of this tells the influences that got me through from the time I went into prison in 1987, 87. This is an officer that brought me books. Now, Socrates and Frederick Douglass and Marcus Aurelius and Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Epictetus and all these ways that transformed my life all the way at the different eras. So that's what these eras mean. Okay. And I'm suggesting to you, as you're starting this journey, memorialize what's influencing you, right? Whether it's your lawyer, Diane Bass, or whether it's your work with Justin Paperny and others, or other people who are influential, start writing those stories. That's what all this information is right here. And I'm saying the business opportunities that opened for me later was because all the way through this journey, all these people believed in me and they invested in me. Or I read their books, like Bill Gates. What did Bill Gates say that inspired me? When I was in prison, I remember reading his story where back in the early 1980s or late 1970s, I think it was early 80s, maybe late 70s, he envisioned saying, I envision a world where there will be a computer on every desk and in every home. And which is amazing, you know, now, I mean, I'm sitting in this home and I probably see 5 computers around here, right? But back then, no homes had computers and no small businesses, but he had a vision. And so what did he do? He put a plan together. He put priorities in place. He built tools, tactics, and resources, right? When I give these lessons, they're not lessons I created. They're lessons that I learned from leaders like Jeff Bezos, who figured out how to build Amazon, or Bob Brennan, who built First Jersey Securities, Lee Knobman, who built Golden State Lumber. Andre Matavusi, there's a funny story with him, that he's a director of the Bureau of Prisons, who very early had a huge influence on my journey. So there's my partner, Justin Paperny. See, I met him in 2009, right? So you're looking through all this era here of people that had an influence on my life along the way. And it's very important for me to memorialize them, right? You see, I have CZ there, a guy who's the founder of Binance, who became a believer in the movement and a big sponsor of the nonprofit. So all of those, you'll notice that I create on the founders page. But in addition, what else did I say? You've got to work every single day. Right. So I create this other page here that's a blog. In this blog, you'll see every single day. That today's February the 10th, 2025. Yesterday is the 9th. The day before that's the 8th, right? These are not little articles. Every day I'm striving to teach people in prison the lessons that I learned to empower myself. And how can you use these lessons in your life? And what can you do to transform your life? So by me showing you, I'm not asking you to do anything that I didn't do. I hope to be building credibility, especially since I don't charge anybody a penny. So if I go back to that section that was the blogs, and I go back to January the 1st, 2025, I set these goals, right? You can just click them. What did I say I was going to do? I said, I tell you the story of all the different ways to become successful. But I said, what am I going to do in 25? I'm going to drop 25 pounds because I put on 25 pounds since I got out of prison, you know? So I'm going to get back down to fighting weight, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm going to build my Bitcoin portfolio to at least 25 Bitcoins. I'm going to run at least one 25-mile distance. I'm going to write at least 25 book reviews, and I'm going to run at least 2,500 miles in the year 2025. It's all documented. But that doesn't mean anything if I don't create an accountability log. So what does that look like? Well, I can show you how I am doing it. There's a previous month. That was January of 2025. Just click it, and you see it right there. It's all public. How many miles was I running? Okay, where am I going through the month? I put these in 10-day increments, and I kind of show, am I on track? Okay, I can go back to the fitness log and go back to the accountability log and hit February. Where am I? The reality is life changes. And when life changes, sometimes you're running long distances. I couldn't run those 2 days because I was traveling. So that means, I got to put more pressure on myself and run longer distances the next day, you know? And so this was last week, I was in Berkeley, so I didn't get to run as much. Last week, I had to go up to Sacramento, you know, no big deal. I know that I can crush it because I measure what was my weight at the start, what was my distance goal, my distance run, cumulative run on the month, cumulative distance run on the month, on the year, right? I track everything. That's what an accountability log. It's not talking about being successful.
It's proving it.
It's about doing it, right? I'll show you my finances. You can look at anything you want. I'm 1,000% transparent. I will show you how much I'm making during a given month. I could look at a complete month. Finance in January had a great start to the month. Okay, had a great start to the month because Bitcoin was running and I was accumulating more Bitcoin. Okay, and you'll see, you know, you're making, what are you making total P&L? 450,000, 450, 470, right? But at the end of the day, I think I track everything. You have to scroll over here to the right, But everything's tracked. This gets moved down as the month goes down. But if you scroll down, you'll see where was it every day of the month. Boom. All right, bing, I'm showing you when I'm acquiring more Bitcoin, at what price. You can look at my Bitcoin accumulations, right? Some people freak out. Why would you show anybody that? You know why? Because I'm not full of shit. You know, if you're afraid, you're afraid. But I'm going to show you I'm not afraid, right? When you go through 26 years in prison, you don't talk about it. You got to be about it. And that's what all this strategy is about. I want everybody to see, I am not asking you, I'm not the travel agent who's telling you to go to this place, right? When I make money, I show you. When I lose money, I will show you, right? I'm showing you every trade I made every day. This is a track story here where I think I made $1 million in the month of November, but I'm just showing you every single transaction, okay? Because I want you to see how to do it. Bitcoin investments, that goes to that sheet I showed you. Book reviews. I told you I'd review 25 books. Well, here it's February the 10th, and there's the first 3. I only have, 22 more to go. So I got, and I have to I just finished a book, a great book, by the way, called 1 to 0, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Highly recommend it. So when I do it, I always put a link there. You want to buy it? Go buy it. I don't make a penny from this. Not trying to make a penny from this, right? But I am showing you, this is how I learn, okay? So I am documenting all of this information, and I'll do it all through the year because I want people to see the importance of memorializing their journey. And there are a lot of people in prison who don't have the ability to do what you do, Matt, because they're in prison. They don't have money. Right. They don't have the ability to hire anybody or do anything. So we offer this for free to anybody in prison who wants to document their life. And you can see how many people are participating. Right now I have 1,168 people building profiles and memorializing their journey.
That's amazing.
We're sending books in there, 3,783 so far. People are writing book reports. This is how much money we've given away in books. And you can just see how it goes every month and how where we're giving it. So all of this is part of a strategy, a long-term strategy I have to make an impact on the world. So when you ask me, what is the difference between the .com
and the
we're transactional.
Okay.
.org is 100% of a nonprofit, and it's transformational. I am working to build a machine to show why we incarcerate too many people on the planet, why it's a waste of time, waste of money, waste of human potential, perpetuates intergenerational cycles of failure. And it's a duty and a responsibility I have because I served so much time, and because I've come home successfully, and because I get support from people like you who believe in the message. So I want people in prison to see how to be more like Matt Boer. When you have a problem, you don't cry, you don't complain, you don't say it's not my fault, I don't know what's going to happen. You build a plan, you put priorities in place. Your priority was to get ready. There's things that you can control, things you can't control. You can't control what the judge is going to do. Right. What you can control is, are you going to be ready for the next chapter of your life? Sure. And it's never too early and never too late to start preparing. Well, you've prepared a lot to get you to be the most successful in your career as a professional gambler, but you're also recognized, I got to do what? Recalibrate. I got to rebuild. And so I would highly recommend that you start working on the Matt Boer web plan, and that web plan should document how you're doing things like learning how to use tools like this, right? Sure. So this is like a little camera that we create. And I'm going to just make a vertical video here for your Instagram followers, right? So I'm here with Matt Boer, and I'm getting the privilege of being able to walk him through how I've used prison professors to build a nonprofit that I hope will make an impact on the lives of millions. And Matt has a book coming out. What is the name of your book?
Recalibrate.
Recalibrate. And what is it going to be about?
It's really my entire life story on every time I've fallen, how I've gotten back up, and really more importantly, just understanding that in life you have challenges, and it's how you handle those challenges. Instead of sulking and crying and going to drugs and alcohol or whatever it is that people fall to, it's just literally dusting the dirt off, getting back up, figuring out your solutions, laying out a roadmap, and following through.
So the cool thing about it, Matt, is that not only are you going to have a manuscript, but pretty soon you're going to have a website like this one that documents everything you're doing. The book is long-form content. Your website is going to show the entire journey, and I can't wait to share it with members of our community. Be cool.
Thank you.
Good. So that's done, right? That got to be seen.
Sure.
Now, all that's on video, right? So what we just did is I just did a real time, how did we record it, right? He's telling a story today. And that story, he will be able to turn back to 10 years from today and say, wow, look when I started. 5 years, don't be surprised to see Matt Boer have his own show on ESPN, because they're all reaching out to him right now. But what he wants to say, because people are going to see a superstar in 5 years with millions of people following him, right? They're going to say, oh, he was lucky. No, he started working, right? And you saw how he was working today. We just spent half an hour going through the website. We spent time filming videos, right? Like I'm going to do another one. Matt, we're doing another video here. I just want to show your audience of how hard you've been working. We've got one camera going right there that's on me. We had another camera going right there that was showing the website that I was building at Prison Professors. We had another camera right there going on you. I mean, this has been a really methodical training session with hopes of helping you and others recognize that if you're in a challenge, if you're in struggle, you can't just pull the covers over your head and cry. You got to be thinking about what you want to do. And this is something you've been doing your entire life, as we can see with your beautiful family, memorialization of you traveling on private jets. You know, everything that you've done in your world has been best in class. And that's why I'm really grateful to have you as a friend.
Thank you for being my friend.
Yeah, that's another one. Okay, so super simple.
Sure.
Now, that's what we do at prisoninvestors.org is we never ask somebody to do something we didn't do ourselves. Today, I had the privilege of being able to share it with a person who I know is going to reach the highest level of influence. And I feel awesome that I got to share this with our audience in prison, but I also feel awesome because now he is going to have an asset that he can point back to a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, when he's successful at his new venture, he can show out, hey, this is how I started. He didn't talk about it, he did it. That's why Matt Boer is the greatest of all time.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you.